He's a conservative activist with almost 900,000 Twitter followers, and he's the brand ambassador for the Rise Pack, and a very sharp young man that I'm proud to call my friend and sometimes my son. How you doing, Scott Presler?
Life is good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to come down to Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. Well, Scott, I'm so proud of you, young man. I used to talk to you when you were working with Brigitte Gabrielle. I was our national correspondent, and you were very sharp on her team. I'm sure she is very proud of you as well. But, man, next thing you know, I'm seeing you go to these places that are heavily blue states and actually boots on the ground, helping people clean up their cities and get registered to vote. I'm just so proud of you, Scott. So for those who haven't got to meet you yet, tell the world about yourself right now, man.
Well, I want to thank President Obama because he inspired me to become a community organizer, but on the right side. And, I was disappointed. President Obama was reelected in 2012, but I wasn't disappointed in him. I was more disappointed in myself. I pointed the finger back at me and said, where were you registering voters? Where were you knocking on doors? Where were you getting out the vote? And the answer is that I hadn't been an active participant in our constitutional republic. So I started volunteering. I fell in love with it, and I decided I wanted to go into politics. So the reason why I'm always wearing cowboy boots, which is appropriate in the state of Tennessee, is in 2014, I got my first ever political job helping to elect Governor Greg Abbott in the great state of Texas.
Wow.
I then spent 2 years of my life working to defeat the Hillary Clinton, an accomplishment that we're all proud of.
Yes.
And I've spent the last 4 years traveling the country, registering thousands of voters, training tens of thousands of volunteers, and cleaning up our cities. You see, there's an important distinguishment I want to make because it was President Obama who inspired me on this journey, but it was President Trump who inspired me to take a deeper look at our neglected and abandoned inner cities.
Wow.
He talked about Baltimore, and Baltimore, we'll say, needed a little bit of love and attention. So I organized a cleanup that with 200 volunteers, we picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours in one day. And I thought
12 tons of trash in 12 hours?
In one block. We didn't even move.
Wow,
this was a residential area in an alley that we had trailers for the trash right there on the side of the road. And literally, we were able to fill 3 of them, these 18-ton trailers, and we didn't even move a block away. And I thought to myself, if I can organize a cleanup and do the job of the government without millions of dollars and without the backing of the government as a private citizen, then why can't I do this everywhere? So we did. We went to Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Duquesne, Detroit, Houston, Kenosha, Los Angeles, Miami, Milwaukee, Portland, Pittsburgh, Philly. And I was protested for picking up trash.
Of course.
In San Francisco, California.
Helping people escape the poverty mentality is bad for their business. Some people's identity is playing the victim. Some people's racism is a very lucrative industry. And what I have found out is most people don't want a solution. They just want to profit from the problem. And my guess is with you helping clean up cities and bringing hope to the inner city, that you're stepping on some toes who want the inner city to stay in poverty, and they want them to stay dysfunctional because quite a few programs line pockets, as we say. Where was the first place that you were protested for helping clean up trash? Baltimore?
In San Francisco, California. Wow. That was our first protest.
Oh my gosh. And what was the response? Because I noticed something about you, Scott. And again, forgive me if I say it a lot, how proud I am of you. There's people who watch things happen. There's people who make things happen. There's people who say, what just happened? You were someone who was making things happen.
Thank you.
You just went out on your own and did it. And you know what? That's such an inspiration for the rest of us. Of course, Trump was wanting to do something with Ice Cube for the inner cities in hundreds of millions of dollars. And of course, that offer was not reciprocated with this current administration. But you've led the way, Scott, in this. But I've noticed about you, you go and actually talk to protesters And my guess is you've changed some minds right there, boots on the ground.
Well, I feel like you give what you get. And, even in the face of obstacles or people, trying to derail me and keep me away from my mission, I think people respect even the left. I've been hailed as the Stacey Abrams of the Republican Party. And I actually take that as a compliment because I respect her work ethic and her hustle. But I think Democrats respect that I'm willing to walk the talk, and I'm going to go into the urban communities. I'm going to go into every community and bring our conservative vision everywhere. And I think people respect that hustle.
So let me guess, did you create the Rise Pack?
Well, so let me tell you about Rise Pack. So
Please.
I spent a month on Long Island. I love New York. And people are probably wondering, Scott, why are you going to Long Island? Why don't you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, go to a swing state? But people don't understand, not only is there a lot of hope in the state of New York, but that governorship in the 2022 election is vulnerable, especially after Cuomo resigning from office. And what we've done is in just a few months' time, we've registered 10,000 new Republican voters.
Oh my
and here's
gosh.
something that 10,000, and here's what people don't understand. In New York, in the unions, police officers, firefighters, that is a heavily Democratic market. But we've seen that these unions who are telling their police officers and firefighters, either get the vaccination or we're going to force you into retirement, either get the vaccination or you're going to be forced out of your job. We're seeing a lot of those former union Democratic members actually join the Republican Party. And I think that this is actually something that the Republican Party can show. We're going to fight for working class America. We're going to fight for the unions, that while the Democrats, they want to sell your jobs overseas, they want to sell your jobs to China, that they're going to actually force you into retirement. This is an opportunity for Republicans to say, no, we are going to fight for you and make sure that you have a livelihood so that you can take care of your families. We're taking this not only into New York, focusing on congressional districts that we can flip from blue to red, like Congressional District 3, but we're actually going to expand this into the state of Florida. We're buying data on the entire state of Florida, and we're focusing on unregistered, likely Republican voters in an effort to get them registered and then ultimately mobilize and push them to the polls. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is Rise Pack is going to have a direct impact on taking the House and taking the gavel away from Nancy Pelosi in 2022.
I'm so proud of you, Scott. I said it before, I'll say it again. Are you finding that a lot of these Democrats you're talking to perhaps feel that the party left them? It's no longer a blue collar type of party. It's now anti-American or constitutional. Are you finding that on the ground?
What have we seen from the Democratic Party? They are the elitist. They think that they're better educated than everybody else. And now they want to force you to live your life in a way that they choose for you. The biggest difference that I would say right now is the Democrats are about coercion, mandates, and force, whereas Republicans are liberty, freedom, and choice. Republicans are the freedom party, and I think people are waking up to that.
Wow. Now, before we go into your thoughts on the future of the Republican Party, which has some people concerned, how are you getting people to vote?
A variety of ways, go to a gun shop, go to Home Depot, go to Chick-fil-A. I mean, go wherever the people are. Our problem is not that there aren't many of us, because we are many in number. Our problem is that we need to register those unregistered millions of voters that agree with us and ultimately get them out to vote. That's our biggest problem, is a lot of people stay home. And so it's getting our message to the voter, educating them on the importance of, for example, registering as a Republican so they can vote in primaries to choose the best candidate and then vote in the general November elections. So just yesterday, I tweeted out to my followers and I said, if you live in the state of Maryland or Virginia and you need to register to vote, I will literally travel to your home. I will meet you at a coffee shop. I will meet you in an alley. I mean, I will meet you anywhere to register you. So yesterday I drove an hour and a half to Hagerstown in Frederick, Maryland. I registered 4 voters, 2 of them were new, and I made sure that 2 switched from independent to Republican. And so I use my social media platform as an outreach tool and build those connections with with people who, by the way, aren't going to forget that I took that time to register them, and ultimately they're going to vote. So a lot of what I do is relationship building.
Scott, you've done so much on your own. What would happen if there was just one Scott Presler in every state, much less every city and every town? Are you able to help replicate this? Are you able to tell people how they can do this too?
Well, that's kind of my goal. So, since February of this year, by the end of 2021, with 4 events left, I will have done events in 25 states just this year alone. And I'm not only teaching people voter registration and election integrity, but more importantly, I'm teaching them how to run for office. And the fruit of our labor is we just elected school board candidates across the country, from Pennsylvania to Ohio. And one of those school board elected officials upcoming is an 18-year-old who just graduated from high school. So what I'm trying to do is I don't want to keep the secrets. I don't want to keep all the knowledge. I want to share this knowledge so we can have thousands of Scott Preslers across the United States.
I love that idea. Team, get on the Presler train.
Train the trainer.
Train the trainer. Scott, are you finding it easier or more difficult to register people to vote when it becomes very clear to many people around the world that this last election, there's no way in their minds that more votes than Obama, more votes than Trump, more votes than John F. Kennedy, this guy in the basement who seems to have a problem knowing where he is, got more votes. Is it harder, or are people having that mental barrier of, well, why should I bother if they're going to try to steal the next one? What are you finding out?
Well, with all due respect to our president and whatever his mental faculties are, I think we can do a much better job talking about his disastrous policies.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in Virginia Beach for a number of years. Virginia Beach just voted 9% for Republicans. And when you, Joe Biden, leave Americans behind in Afghanistan, leave our soldiers and their families behind, that doesn't tell the largest naval base in the entire world in Norfolk, Virginia. That doesn't give them confidence in the current administration. Right. When you're buying Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner for your families and you're finding that prices have doubled, tripled, when you're going to the gas pumps and you're seeing that you're spending a dollar more than you were a year ago under a different administration, those lead people to understand the huge difference between a President Trump and a President Joe Biden. And I think it's been very easy to get people to join our Republican Party.
Well, speaking of the Republican Party, let's go to it. What do you think the future of this Republican Party is? There are some who say, hey, the first couple of years of Trump's presidency, these guys not only didn't help him, they fought against him. And then now you're seeing more, I don't know, maybe more Trump-isms within the Republican Party with him out of office than with him in. What do you think the future is with the Republican Party?
Well, that's part of it, but I'm more focused on policy initiatives.
Yeah.
And in traveling to 25 states, I do a lot of listening. And here's what the people want. First and foremost, they care about election integrity. They want safe and secure, fair and free elections, which means if you're at home listening to this right now and you want to make sure that we have safe and secure, fair and free elections, then I strongly encourage you to take off work on election day and to sign up to become an election day worker. Because how it should work is there should be an equal number of Democrat to Republican election day workers, but not if not enough Republicans sign up, then who is going to fill those positions? Democrats. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if we don't sign up to volunteer to become an election day worker and then complain when Democrats are the ones counting the votes. That doesn't make any sense. And then number two, people want medical freedom and patient protection, that we, the American citizen, get to dictate how to run our lives, and we shouldn't be forced to retirement or forced to quit our professions for not taking the COVID-19 vaccination. And one of the most important issues that we saw here in the Commonwealth of Virginia is parental choice in education.
Yes.
That we, the parents, the people, we get to decide what is instructed in our classrooms, not school board members, not bureaucrats, not teachers principals who have never been in the classroom, but the parents get to decide. And I think that's the future of the Republican Party. Parental empowerment, medical freedom, election integrity, a secure border. That is what the American people care about the most.
Talking about secure borders in your travels, are people concerned that there are literally
absolutely
billions of people coming here illegally, fighting age men, mostly what I hear from third world nations? When you have third world people, you tend to have third world problems. And I love all people, Scott, but they're being rewarded by this administration to break the law and even getting free flights to any city they choose, unless you're a type of leadership that will refuse that influctuation of people who may not even speak our language or care about our laws. What are some of the people saying about this on the ground?
Well, I wouldn't even look at it from that standpoint. Let's look at it from COVID-19 for a second. The Democrats say that they're the party of science, and the Democrats say that they care so much about COVID-19 and stopping the spread. Well, if Democrats truly care about COVID-19, then why won't they secure the border and make sure that hundreds of thousands of untested people who we don't know if they're carrying COVID-19 or tuberculosis or another ailment, why don't we make sure that our border is secure so that we can protect the American people in our country? And that alone lets me know the Democrats don't actually care about a secure border or COVID-19. Otherwise, both would be handled.
Science is based on what can be observed and proven. Well, Fauci's up and down with mask and no mask. There are people who believe that man should be arrested for crimes against humanity with prescribing remdesivir that causes kidney failure, that mimics pneumonia, or the scandalous unknown funding source that's rewarding hospitals for intubations, $54,000 each one, or $39,000 in Arkansas for each COVID-related death, even if it's a gunshot wound or motor. Follow the science. That's very interesting. It's almost like science when science is inconvenient to that party, then it's not science anymore. But in your travels, talking with people on an intellectual level, what is the greatest surprise that you're finding out among both sides of people? What, are there stereotypes that maybe you're seeing being broken within the Democrat Party and the Republican Party? What are you seeing in those two people groups that might be surprising to you?
I'm seeing a very diverse Republican Party. And when I went to New Mexico, that was probably one of the biggest wake-up calls, because half of the people that came to our event in Las Cruces, New Mexico, were former Democrats. They had all voted for President Obama. They had all been longtime Democrats. Now they're Republicans. And one woman came up to me and she said, "Scott, my wife told me about you, and that's why I'm here today." And she said, "I want you to know that I was a rabid LGBT gay rights supporter." And she said, "The thing that's woken me up in the last year has been censorship." And I think that even people on the left are seeing just how far extremist, far left the Democratic Party has gone. And it's actually pushing people over to the right. So we're seeing censorship, and I'm seeing medical freedom as two reasons why so many Democrats are choosing to leave the Democrat Party.
Wow. So what you're saying then, from all that we're talking about, is there is hope.
Absolutely.
For the Republican Party. It may become the party of diversity, the party of true science, the party of true education. One of the biggest faulty mentalities among the left is that man is inherently good. So if you give him enough benefits and enough education, he'll be good. Well, that doesn't work. Man is not inherently good. Man needs to make a choice to be good, a choice to have a moral code. And what better template for a moral code besides the Bible in my opinion, is the U.S. Constitution. And so these same people who are discovering that, hey, the people we voted, perhaps the people they voted for, are not reflecting the values that they thought they did. It's censorship, anti-First Amendment. It's disarming the Second Amendment. It's this uncomfortable, cozy relationship with China. It's no surprise that what many call the People's Republic of New Mexico, the mandates that were forced upon them, looking more like a communist state, is having more people switch to the Republican Party. That's amazing to me. But Scott, I'm just taken aback about a young man that took upon himself the call to help people register to vote for our country, and the Constitution, and to literally get his hands dirty, cleaning up trash in areas that politicians that became millionaires haven't even touched. What an inspiring story, man. And so, you mentioned earlier about how people, more Republicans, because it seems like, those who don't work jobs, those who vote for a living, they have all the time in the world to make $200 a night with a pipe and a mask and burning down cities. But those of us who work for a living, those of us who are trying to take care of our family, who appreciate the freedoms we have, we need to become election workers. How would you tell people to do that?
It's so easy. Type into the internet, for example, Florida election day worker, New York election day worker, Texas election day worker. But it's so much more than that. That's only on election day. The real work is right now, a year in preparation for the midterm elections, because by the time people are voting, they've already made up their minds. They are already past the voter registration date. If you really want to make a difference, then you need to start that work like today, right now, and register new Republican voters. And what you can do is, I'm on every single social media platform. My name is Scott Presler, SCOTTPRESLER. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Gab, Telegram, Getter. I'll be on Truth Social as soon as President Trump releases that from beta testing. But if you have any questions, shoot me a message. I literally am up on my pillow until 2 a.m. answering messages all day long. So I'm happy to guide you in the right direction. And if you live in Nashville, Tennessee, I am coming to town on Saturday, December 4th. Shoot me a message on social media, and I'm happy to tell you all of the location details for Nashville, Tennessee this Saturday, December 4th.
Wow. Scott, I want to know everything you're doing. Please let me be one of those guys you call that wants to get things on multiple networks, multiple shows about what you're doing, because you are doing what other people are talking. And
thank you.
Talkers will talk, but seldom do they do. But you're a doer. I'm just amazed of what you've done. I was impressed with you, years ago with our correspondence and your proactivity of making things happen for Act for America. But now, man, what you're doing, the inner cities is special to me, Scott. I was an at-risk kid. I've worked with at-risk kids. I've worked in their inner city, and in spite of their leadership in these places. But we need Scott Preslers now more than ever. And I just can't say enough good things about you, Scott. And I'm just so proud of you, man. And so connect with Scott Presler. You've been seeing his information at the bottom of the screen. Make that connection. For those who aren't registered to vote, you know what? Tomorrow will never come. Tomorrow will never come, or someday will never come. Today is the day. Today is the day. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes tomorrow's for years and years to come. Trust me, I know. But today is the day. You can connect with Scott. Scott, is there a resource that walks them through the process of becoming a registered voter? I know that you handle that personally as well.
I will help them personally. I do have a training that I teach on how to run for office, and I will be visiting another 25 states next year as well. So my entire schedule will be posted on my social media. and happy to personally help you register as well. In the majority of places, you can do it online, but you need a driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license, then you need to mail in the form, and you can usually mail it into your elections office. But again, reach out to me and I'm happy to help.
So, a warrior on the front line of voter registration, of hope for the inner city, of helping people choose to enforce our priceless, amazing U.S. Constitution with their voting power, and a whole new generation of political leaders. Folks, you need to connect with Scott Presler today. And again, young man, so impressed with you. And I have hope. You've renewed my hope in this interview for the future of the Republican Party. And so now let me ask this last question, Scott. For people who are seeing what I'm seeing in you, what's the best way to support you financially? How can we do that?
Thank you. You can go to rise-pac.com. Again, that's rise-pac.com. And that work that we're doing, again, is going to have a direct impact on taking back the House in 2022.
Rise-pac.com. Get behind this young man, folks, with your prayers, with your money. Put your money where your mouth is. You want a problem? You want a solution to the problem? Be a part of the solution. I can't think of any better way than of securing our future than investing in people like Scott Presler. Thank you again, Scott. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Well, you can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down. Go and tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard the shuffle of the angels' feet. He called my name and my heart stood still when he said, "Brand, go and do my will." Tell that long-tongued liar, tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Tell him that God's gonna cut you down. Well, you can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down. Sooner or later, God'll cut you down.